Hi, I'm Doug McKinlay, and we're here for Adorama TV in Greenwich Town in London. I'm with Mark Wallace, and what we're going to do today is a photo challenge.
That's right, Doug. So my challenge to you is for you to sort of teach me some things. We're in Greenwich Town, which has a lot of people and places and reflections and colors, and we've got London behind us and the Cutty Sark over here. And so my approach to that would just to sort of find little scenes here and there, but you're a photojournalist and have that background, and so you're mainly looking for story, is that right?
Of course. Now, I was taught that a picture's not a picture unless there's a person in it. Not always true, but today we're going to see what we can do with that.
All right, so let's go see what our styles look like. You can teach me some things, and maybe I can show you some of the things I do.
Excellent.
Let's go for it.
Excellent.
Is that a 50mm lens? Is that right?
Yeah, this is the Canon 1.4 50mm lens. Now, the reason why I chose the 1.4 over its bigger brother, the 1.2, is mostly due to cost, but also quality. This is a 1.4, and the quality is so close to the 1.2 that it's not worth spending 3 times the amount of money.
Right.
I see you got your 21.
Yeah, so I'm going with the 21, and I love this lens for doing sort of the environmental street, not environmental portraits, but street photography, because I can set it to hyperfocal. So I'm shooting at f8, maybe at 5.6, and then I just set it to infinity here at the end on my depth of field gauge. It's basically a point and shoot camera, and then all I'm doing is basically looking, doing all my composition and shooting without having to worry about focus, because on Leica, you can't focus very, very quickly like this guy. I'm guessing you're autofocusing?
Autofocus. Now I'm on autofocus because I'm getting older and my eyes aren't so good anymore. But so basically what you've got is the world's most expensive point and shoot camera.
Yeah, it's the world's most expensive point and shoot camera. But I think that the key there is it's important to know where to point it and when to shoot it. That's really the heart of photography, right?
The other thing we have to mention too is the guts in a Leica are fantastic. So it's producing amazing images. It's not just your 300-pound, $300 point and shoot, almost throwaway camera. It's very, very different.
Yeah, this has got amazing resolution. I mean, we're not talking about megapixels. We're talking about how the lens resolves fine details and then the contrast. So there's a lot going on here. So it's not really fair to say it's just a point and shoot camera, but it is. It's a point and shoot camera. So I'm going to go point and shoot today, and let's see what we get.
I'm going to point and autofocus today and see what we get.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so explain to me, Mark, what you're doing there.
Okay, I was actually just taking a picture of the guy that walked behind me.
Right, okay.
So one of my favorite things to do in a city is to take sort of multiple layered images. Okay. And that's what this does for me here. We have this window, it's really clean, but it's got a really nice reflection of the cityscape behind. Plus we have some layers, some chairs and bottles and a bunch of things inside. And so basically what I'm doing, because this is at hyperfocal, everything's in focus, I can turn my back to my subject, and because I have a rangefinder, I can see things coming into the frame before they actually get there.
Right.
And so I'm waiting, so like these people right here, click, I just took their picture and they have no idea that I did. And so I get depth, I get layers, I get people, and without even being intrusive at all.
So that gives you that almost spy-like quality with the rangefinder camera.
Yeah, I'm taking pictures of things behind me.
Interesting. So we're coming into Greenwich Market here, so why don't we go in and continue our challenge and see what these cameras can produce.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Nice. So do you usually shoot, you're shooting at 1.4 right now, is that right?
I'm shooting at 1.4 because I really like the creamy textures behind when I'm shooting portraits with it.
Yeah.
I like the way that it renders the background of my portrait, behind the eyes, behind the nose, behind the ears. There's nice creamy, sort of blurry
that nice
background.
Bocaliciousness.
Nice. Yeah.
But if you're shooting with the 50 and you're shooting some like a person you don't know, are you like filling the frame with their face? Or are you doing sort of a medium shot? What are you doing?
I think it really depends on the person too, how they're dressed, what kind of if I'm in a foreign country and they've got a traditional dress on, maybe I step back. But if not, I want to get in nice and close. How do I do that? I usually have a word or two with the person, even if they don't speak English. I still try to try and make that connection, make it easy for them to allow me to do it. And if they don't want it, then I'll walk away and do somebody else. But you know, they say that the 85mm is the perfect portrait lens. Yes, it's a great lens, but the 50, I just find the 50 to be fantastic for portraits. It's nice and small, it's obscure. I can, you know, it's not as small as, the body's not as small as your Leica, but this is about the smallest I can get with my Canon,
So
except
show
for
me
pancake.
how close, like if I'm a stranger on the street and we've had that interaction and you're going to shoot me at 1.4.
I'm at 1.4 and I'm going to get in as close as I can
Okay.
with the, in terms of the focal distance that the lens allows me
I'll
to.
get Gavin height here.
Yeah, I'm going to get you down a little bit because
I'm Gavin Hui.
a little bit tall. Okay, now the other thing too with the 50, when I'm in close like this, unlike a 24
We're close.
or a 21,
Right there.
is I'm going to get less distortion.
Nice.
The 50 gives you less distortion, so your pictures look more natural. So that's what we got here, and that's what we look here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice
so
and tight.
I'm a little, so this is a 21 and I'm at f8 right now. One of the things that people ask about is its manual focus and how slow is that, right? So you just shot that and had a little bit of a focus. So here's me shooting you with the 21.
So that's super quick.
Super quick, yeah, because everything is in focus. Of course, I didn't compose or anything, I just clicked.
Sure.
But that's sort of the, we won't show that picture. But that's the argument is constantly manual focus on the Leica is so slow. But if you're shooting at a 28, a 35, a 21, your focusing is very minimal.
And what f-stop are you at there?
I'm at 8
Okay.
here. I'm at 8, and I'm shooting at ISO 400 right
So
now.
it's basically the old reportage photographer f8 and B there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, you just sort of show up and be there. Now, if I'm shooting with a 50, I do have a 50 that I love for the same type of thing. Then it's a different story. Then my focus is very deliberate and
Right.
very slow. And with the 1.4 or 1.2 kind of aperture, if you move any, then you're out of focus.
It's so tight.
Yeah, and so I was going to ask, do you, if you're shooting at 1.4, do you take a few pictures to sort of give yourself some coverage?
Generally speaking, yeah, I'll blast off a few, because this camera will shoot 5-6 frames a second. But really important though, when I'm shooting this close with a 1.4, focus on the eyes, always. Always on the eyes. If the nose is out a little bit, the ears are out a little bit, doesn't matter. If the eyes are sharp, it's a good image.
All right, well, let's keep going to Greenwich Market and see
Okay.
what else we can get here. So the 50 is a good portrait lens for shooting something you don't ever know, but so how do you approach that? Can you give me?
I think it's all about trying to create that, you know, instantaneous connection between yourself as a photographer and your subject. Now, I'm going to try with this lady here and see how we get on, okay?
Okay, I'll just let you do it.
Hi there. I love your stall. Do you mind if I get a shot or two? Can I use you as a model? So just relax, and I'll try and get a picture or two. If you look right in the lens, that's it. It's just like that. And look at me, big smile. That's great, it's really natural. So that in a nutshell, is a 50mm shot for portraits.
You know, one of the things about a wide lens that's a little bit different than a 50 is this is sort of a stealth camera. And so you're really intentional being in close. I was actually shooting pictures of you while you were shooting pictures and doing some portraits, but nobody knew, you didn't even know. That's sort of the joy of having a really wide lens. It doesn't matter if it's for a Canon or a Leica or whatever. This is a 21, so everything's gonna be in focus, so you have a lot of freedom to do that. One of the things that you have to do is you have to watch your composition. You know, I was sort of shooting from the hip, so
Sure.
I was just praying.
So you're sort of like scattergun approach, kind of hoping you get at least one of the images that's going to look good?
Sort of. It might, like I know that there's some hats in the foreground, and you know I was sort of taking a couple looks to try to get a portrait of her in the background to set sort of a sense of space.
Right.
But anytime you're with a 35 or 28 or 21, anything wide, you're not just saying here's the subject. You're saying here's the subject and everything around it.
So that in terms of composition, so are you aware of those little bits of information within an image to try to find some balance of the shot?
Trying, yeah. But if you're shooting fast like I just was, not so much. It's sort of by instinct and by practice, and the more you do it, the more you can sort of see that. But if I was doing a professional shooting somebody at work or whatever, then yeah, I'd be really intentional and probably place things. But for street photography, it's practice, practice, practice.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
great. Great.
Doug, you've done a lot of photojournalism and telling stories in magazines and newspapers and things like that. So how do you take something like this, where you've got all these things that are competing for your attention, and pull a story out of that? Are there some tips that you have?
Well, this is why the 50mm 1.4 is such a great lens for this kind of work. Because of the narrow depth of field, I can choose a certain part of the image to be the main focus. Now, by doing that, I can change, if I change the focus, I can change the story. So there's this great latitude in how you're going to approach the picture, remembering that one picture can tell a story. So, for instance, we've got this group of maps beside us. It's not saying much, really. But if I shoot it at 1.4, it's going to allow me to throw the background out and therefore make the picture that much more interesting.
Yeah, it's like, just like a little spice to say, come to the market, and here are some of the types of things that you'll see.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
exactly.
I want to see what you can do with this.
Right, okay. Now, don't forget, shooting these kind of images, the whole image can change depending where I put the focus.
Yeah, so one of the things with this is, depending on how I shoot, if I shoot this way, my depth of field is here, so I've sort of got everything in the sign in focus. If I just turn my camera here, my depth of field is here, so my letters are going to start falling out of focus. So just changing the camera angle changes the composition and the storytelling of this image. Let's see what we get. Beautiful. Opposed to this. Well, Doug, thanks so much for hanging out today and teaching me some things about photojournalism. It's been a really, really fun day.
And thank you for having me along. I learned some stuff, especially with the Leica. Fantastic piece of kit. This was a great day, and I hope we can do it again. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Don't forget to subscribe to Adorama TV.